Yo, 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 what's up, y'all? What's going on? What's going on with my people, man? Look, I'm getting a lot of views lately, man. A lot of people paying attention to what's going on, man. They popping in, popping out, man. I would just ask, man, look, I need no donations or nothing, man. You know what I'm saying? Although I ain't gonna turn none down, but you know, yeah, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit the like button for me, man. I highly appreciate it. If everybody that watched, man, hit the like button, it goes up. You just click on it for you. Even if you just watch it for a couple seconds, man, and that's just all you hear, hit the like button, man. You know what I'm saying? You see me out here grinding, man. There's a million other things that, I mean, I could be doing with my time. And I've been working hard at this, man. You know what I'm saying? This is just not something that it's been an up and down roller coaster on YouTube. And for me, I've been up here high. I just haven't gotten to that point where I just plateaued yet. But y'all can help me get there, man. This is the most steady audience that I have had so far. Um, y'all haven't disappeared, but I just asked y'all to hit the like button for Chuckin Chubby one time. All right, man. Appreciate it. So talking about my Pittsburgh Steelers, man, we just got the victory. No, we didn't score offensive touchdown in that game, but all in all, man, I like, and I'm gonna get this pulled up because I just got some of the stats pulled up, I guess, off of Google. It's not really super big, it's not nothing fancy or anything. That's the NFL standings, and I'll just go to our last game here and go to some of our stats. As you can see, they did pretty well. Russ was 23 for 36, 205 yards. He had an interception, which I don't like. I don't like that at all. I didn't like the interception he threw in the end zone. It was horrible to me. It was a miscue play. I think it was very uncharacteristic of him and didn't wind up hurting us. Justin Tucker, he missed 3 field goals. That made it have us win the game. However it goes, you know what I mean? They lost. It is what it is. They'll get the chance to get their revenge once we go out to Baltimore. It was a very chippy game, classic Ravens and Steelers football game. That is the, you know what I mean? That's just what it is. That's how it's always been. I thought it was a good football game. There's much respect there amongst those fans and amongst the players too. You feel what I'm saying? Um, Now the conversation hasn't came up just yet with a lot of people on Russ's contract, and I'll get to that. You know what I mean? I just wanted to speak on how people are they keep saying Steelers are a legit Super Bowl contending team. Um, Look, the bandwagon is set. If you want to come jump on it, I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? A lot of people are going to do that. And now, I just want things to keep on going the way that it's going. We just keep playing football. We go out there. We knew that our defense was great. We knew that we needed a quarterback. You know what I mean? We knew that we needed to short the offensive line a little bit. They seem to be gelling a lot better. They seem to be improving every week. This offensive line playing together seem to be improving every week, which is just dangerous and to other teams. Now, to me, I look at this team and I say that we needed more weapons at wide receiver. Some people might say offensive line. Some people might say other things with our team. But I think that, adding a weapon at wide receiver like Mike Williams is going to be beneficial for us moving forward, not only as the deep threat, but now in the underneath game. So now we can stretch the field with all different kinds of receivers. Like once we have Mike Williams and once we got George Pickens, Calvin Austin, Move, and Darnell Washington in our backs and our running backs that also could catch out of the backfield, like we're stretching the whole field. I would just like to see that put together. And I think, and it's crazy to say this, but sometimes there's a regular season playbook and then there's a playoff playbook. There's you know what I'm saying, and I know it sounds weird to some people, but you know that's what it seems like, right? There's different calls they use. Now I want to see us open up a little bit because we are playing division opponents and the games are going to be tough. All these games are going to be tough. We're playing the Browns, we're playing the Bengals. I don't care what their record is, throw the record out the window. It's crunch time for us. This is divisional games for us right now. Every last one of our opponents is going to play us tough. We got, I believe we got the Bengals 2 more times, the Browns 2 more times, and then we have the Ravens 1 more time. So that's 5 games. and then we have Kansas City. I can't remember who else. I think that may be it. I think that may be it, right? But that's who we have left, you know what I'm saying, on our schedule to play, and it's not going to get no easier from here. Like I said, just taking a look at it, quick look, we got the Browns, the Bengals, the Browns, the Eagles, the Ravens, the Chiefs, and then the Bengals. Now, a lot of people out there could say that this is an easy schedule. I'm not going to say that. People were saying the Steelers had the hardest schedule before the season started, just looking at our schedule on paper. And I want to say that we got probably still got the hardest schedule still. We got our divisional games left. Every last one of these games, people are going to play us tough. These are all look to us. The Bengals and the Browns are going to play us like they want to get a chance to get into the playoffs. The Chiefs, they're going to play us hard for the simple fact they probably want home field advantage in the playoffs. They're damn near there. They got a couple wins by this time while we play the Chiefs. The Chiefs may possibly, if they're smart, they probably will probably be sitting some of their people. Or if they want to play for home field advantage, they'll probably come out to Pittsburgh and want to play us tough. I'm sure that we'll be ready to play the Chiefs hard and everything. Philadelphia, when we play Philadelphia, that'll be another one of those games. So yes, to me, and Nick, and I could be a little biased, but I think that we still have the hardest schedule in the NFL to finish off the regular season. Um, so and this is the stretch where I thought that we would probably drop 3 games. You know what I mean? And I'm just being honest. You know what I'm saying? I don't want people, I don't want all my Steeler fans to get all crazy out there and get caught up in the media hype of us, you know what I'm saying? Being Super Bowl contenders, because as soon as we lose three of these last what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. So if we go 4-3 out of these last 7 games and we lose 3 games, say we lose the three in a row, say we lose the next 3, they're going to be talking, oh, the Pittsburgh Steelers, we thought that they were Super Bowl contenders, but I don't know. Or just say that we win all the rest, say we win the next 4 in a row. You know what I mean? Which will be take us on a 9-game winning streak, and then we lose to the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Bengals back to back to finish off the season, or something crazy like that. They'll go back to bashing us and saying what they thought and what they didn't think or whatever else. You know what I'm saying? But I honestly believe, like, if we're winning out, by the time we play the Chiefs, we're so smart. Like, a playoff game is a playoff game to us. Will we like to play at home? Absolutely. But if the Chiefs at that point already had um one and gain home field advantage, and we locked down a seed in the playoffs, I don't think that we'll probably even be playing our starters the last 2 games if things keep continuing rolling how it's been rolling and we're playing at a high level. However, we are in the hardest part of our schedule to me. And I will repeat that. And it's going to be tough for the Steelers, man. It's going to be tough for us, y'all, Pittsburgh Steelers fans. But so, you know what I mean? I just want to give y'all a heads up out there that we're going to be facing a lot of this media scrutiny, because they're already placing us up on this high pedestal and saying that, the Steelers were just supposed to be a 9-7 football team in the preseason. And that's from everybody. That's from everybody. Some people had us even not being at like 8-9 or 9-8. You know what I mean? Not even finishing the season good at all. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, now they having us, being a legit Super Bowl contender because of the quarterback player Russell Wilson been able to help out with, and us knowing that our defense is great. Just be prepared for it, man. Just be prepared for it. That's all I'm saying out there to all my Pittsburgh Steelers fans, man. We gotta be prepared for that kind of stuff, and I'm pretty sure they are. And we got 2 veteran quarterbacks that won't get caught up in that heat, in that media hype. So I'm happy with that. Now, when we talking about college football, man, and I want to talk a little bit about college football and the Colorado Buffaloes, right? Because come on, man, y'all already know what time it is with me, and y'all know I'm going to talk about Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes and the Coach of the Year. Now, we already had discussions about the college football playoff. We get into a lot of these conversations that are great about the college football playoff too, right? And Colorado Buffaloes, they control their own destiny right now. They control their own destiny to get into the college football playoff. Um, you're going to hear people say that the Colorado Buffaloes are the best in the Big 12. Out of the top 3 teams in the Big 12, Colorado has not had to play the best 3 yet. Um, arguably, arguably, you know what I mean? Not to take anything from Colorado, and I'm not taking anything from Colorado. They only play their schedule. And I'm not one of these guys. I'm not the guy out here or the content creator out here, y'all, or the media pundit or whoever, however y'all want to place me. Um, that's going to say that Colorado, they're playing the worst teams. They're only playing their schedule and they're winning games. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Colorado is playing their schedule and they're winning the games. That's what matters, and that's what we have to look at. But I do want to say this, and this is to the Colorado, and this is to fans out there that are Colorado fans that say that Indiana, who have they played? First of all, I definitely want to say that Indiana is in the Big Ten. Indiana has beaten Big Ten teams this year. They have beaten Big Ten teams. Um, they have, and they only could play their schedule. However, if you want to say they didn't play anybody, they won every game up to this point until them playing Ohio State. So, and it goes both ways. If you're saying that Colorado hasn't played anybody, they've beaten the people on their schedule. They can't do anything about their schedule. But when it comes down to the coach of the year conversation, I get it. I look, man, no pause. I love Coach Prime and what Coach Prime has done for football. I've seen what he's doing. If you haven't checked out what one of my lives from was on Sunday, I did a live, just a quick recap, and I praised how Coach Prime has gotten the right guys in there to train his football team at a high level and prepare them for the next level in football. And even if they're not going to do that, they're still being taught by some of the best. He's done his best to get the best guys in there to train his team. And I praise that. However, when we're talking what Kurt Signetti is doing over there at Indiana and what so many other coaches are doing around college football, it's like you can't knock what they're doing. You just can't knock what they're doing, man. You can't Dan Lanning up at Oregon. Um sure, Oregon is not beating everybody the way that the what everybody wants to see, but we have seen G5 programs and programs who were not supposed to beat some of the top programs do it constantly this year. So by now we have to let go of Oregon barely getting past Wisconsin. They won. Oregon not getting past Idaho. They or they stomping Idaho. They won the game. That's all that matters. You're winning week in and week out. That's all that matters. Is how many wins and how many losses do you have on your schedule? Strength of schedule. No, I get it. I don't even think, honestly, the committee is looking at strength of schedule, because if the committee is looking at strength, if anybody out there in the committee or voters for for the rankings or anything is looking at strength of schedule, there would be a 3-loss SEC team getting into college football playoff. And that's a fact. That's a fact. And I know I'm talking about coach of the year, and I'll get right back to that. But I say that because if you're looking at the top 7 teams in every conference and you match them up with the ACC as it stands right now, I want you to take a second real quick. I got time. Take a second. Go ahead, pull up the standings from college football, and you go through every Power 5, every Power 4 or 5 conference there is: the SEC, the ACC, the Big 10, and the Big 12. And you look at all top 7 teams, and you tell me the top 7 teams matched up against the SEC teams, I don't even think they stand a chance. I don't think I don't think they stand a chance. I just don't think so. Now, will some other teams probably give a run? They probably would, maybe, but the SEC is still the SEC. It has not been diluted all the way just yet. It just hasn't been diluted all the way just yet. But they were able, and I think that the SEC, they were able to get guys, the right guys that they needed to certain rosters and fit them in those rosters and form the teams that they have right now. And I also mentioned that, but what Coach Prime has done, man, and his popularity, can he win Coach of the Year? Probably. He probably will get it. He probably has the highest vote, but realistically, there's 2 losses. If you could get, what did he get? Man of the Year or something like that. I don't think he got Coach of the Year at 4-8. No, I don't think he got Coach of the Year at 4-8. I don't think that's what it was. It was something different. But do you think that a 2-loss coach is going to be able to get Coach of the Year? What he's done at Boulder, yes, it's good, and he deserves, and he does get a lot of people out here and a lot of content creators, a lot of media, a couple of media guys, mainstream media guys that give him praise for doing that. All the alumni that with the Colorado, they give him praise for doing that. That is his trophy. But when you got a team like Indiana, who was just 3-9 last year, but completely flipped their season, completely flipped it, completely. You know, they're 10-0 right now, at a chance of possibly being 12-0. That is a good football team. And to say that Indiana, and to the people out there that say that Indiana has not played anybody, I'm gonna pull up the schedule. I'm gonna take the time out and go ahead and pull up the college football standings, because I don't think that that's fair to say that, because I think Michigan is a good football team. Michigan, Michigan Wolverines is missing one position. I promise y'all that. If Michigan had average quarterback play, average college quarterback play, Michigan would be better than what they are right now. And that's a guarantee. Yes, and we know this. And we all know this. This is not something that I just picked up. This is something that we all know. If Michigan had average quarterback play, Michigan is a very dangerous football team right now. And that's a fact. That's all they need is average quarterback play. They don't need the best in college football. Just give them average. And let's say average, okay? Give average a name. Thomas Castellanos. Thomas Castellanos from Boston College going to Michigan right now, just to put a face and an athlete behind it. What does Michigan look like right now? What does Michigan look like right now with Thomas Castellano at quarterback, with that defense that Michigan has right now, as is? That's what I'm saying, folks. It's a totally different ball game. It's a totally different ball game if they have him at quarterback. And I said average just because, and that's just the name I threw out there. Okay, any average, anybody, give them anybody out there, just that's average, and they're totally different, right? That's all that's all I was saying there, right? So yes, like they have completely flipped everything, man, and there's no way that you can actually sit there and say that Indiana did not play. They've beaten Michigan State. They've beaten Washington. They've beaten in Washington last year. You can argue that Washington's team is last year's Arizona's team that was in the Pac-12. You can argue that Jad Fisher, the head coach, the running back that I think he ran for like 200 yards on Colorado last year. Jonah Coleman went off on that team last year. That was last year. Granted, the run defense gotten a lot better, but they're playing some good. They dog walk Nebraska. I mean, absolutely dog walk Nebraska. They put it on Maryland earlier this year. They stomped Charlotte, stomped UCLA. Like and granted, UCLA they're getting together late. They doing what they doing. Put 77 points up on Western Illinois. What they were supposed to do, but we've seen other teams not being able to do that week in and week out. Just their last game against Michigan, that very very tough defense was probably the worst you've seen Indiana, and that's a good defense. I would argue with anybody right now, and I would stand, and I'm gonna stand on this and saying that Michigan has a championship. They got a nice championship team defense, yo. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna go and say that because look, I'm not talking about what the stats are saying, man. I'm talking about the way that Michigan is playing people with the defense they have. Now, you know what I mean? Look, they lost like they lost to Illinois. No quarterback play. They didn't have no quarterback play there, right? So they lost there. They got stomped. Like grant that. They got stomped. They lost to Oregon 38-17. Got stomped at the big house, right? No quarterback play there. And they're still able to do this. Like, and you see how they're playing. You know what I mean? They're beating teams like what Minnesota. That's a good team. They're okay. Minnesota's okay. They lost. Matter of fact, Michigan lost to Washington. Um, we not. I'm not saying that Michigan is going to be, but that defense, if they're not on the field, if that offense could stay on the field a little bit more, that team is totally different, man. And I think that we'll see that. And don't be surprised if their last game of the season when they go to Ohio State to the shoe, if something crazy don't happen there. That's all I'm saying. And I've said crazier things before. And of course, people always say, "Oh, you're crazy, you're this," but by now should be tuning in a little bit different of what I'm saying. But they're okay, man. They not like let's not go ahead and go off the reservation about that. And what Indiana's doing, sitting at number 5 in the country right now, which is crazy, which is crazy. Like I know, like, and I'm gonna say this in closing on that. Coach Prime is the most popular coach in all of football, NFL wise and college wise right now. He's probably one of the most popular coach there is, right? I love him. But from going from 130 30th in the country to being number 5 in 1 year, in 1 year is phenomenal. And I'm sure that he would even say that. I'm sure Coach Prime would even say that. That's phenomenal. It just is. What he's done, he has literally given somebody the blueprint. They followed it to a T. And now look at what Indiana looks like right now. Although a lot of the transfers that he brought in were his guys from James Madison, with a couple of key pieces from here and there. I'm not going to say that, but he pretty much changed that whole program. Man, I don't see how he can lose it. I just don't see how you can lose it. I honestly don't. If it's a popularity contest, sure. But if this is coach of the year, you have to put him in a conversation. And I think he has to be the front runner, man. Um, even if and if you want to talk about, and if we're gonna give it to coaches just based off coaching and wins don't matter, we still let's look at what Fran Brown is doing with Syracuse wasn't and look, if Indiana was no Ferrari. It was a beater. That was a rusty restoration also too, before cursing that he got there. But let's look at what Fran Brown is doing over at Syracuse, right? Syracuse won last year's record. I believe they won 7 total games, right, including their bowl game. They went into the bowl game with USF 6-6, and they won. They came out 7-6. They've already in the first year have Franz Brown's first year there, and you could say he got a mediocre program. You can argue that, right? You can argue and say he got a Honda Accord. He didn't get, you know what I mean? He got a used Honda Accord. He didn't get a beater. He didn't get a Ferrari, but you know what I mean? The program was okay, and they're looking to be possibly at least an 8-win team. I mean, they got to face Miami at the end of the season, But even some Miami fans are dreaded to see that game, right? They got UConn next. UConn should be that should be a brush off. That should be don't sleep on UConn. You know, they got some good coaching going on over at UConn. Don't sleep on them. This should be a nice warm-up game for Miami. But some Miami fans are looking at that the Syracuse game like, hold up, that could be a trap game for us. You know, they're not overlooking Syracuse at all. Miami Hurricanes fans are not overlooking Syracuse at all. They're looking at Syracuse and they're taking them seriously. And they're hoping that Mario Cristobal and Miami is looking at Syracuse and respecting them and going to play them tough and not overlooking their next opponent, and I'm Wake Forest, right? Getting out there playing Wake Forest as hard as they can and playing Syracuse. I don't see how Miami failed so far off the reservoir. Um, it's kind of mind-boggling to me. And why do I say that? Right, because they beat Florida. Florida is on a hot streak right now. Florida A&M, FAMU, that's the best of the SWAC. That's one of the best teams in the SWAC in college football. But that's neither here or there. They don't have the talent. Humiliated Ball State. Um, Same thing with South Florida. They got the almost loss against Virginia Tech. Okay, but we thought Virginia Tech was number one in the ACC on a lot of people's preseason polls with Kyron Jones and that team coming back. Virginia Tech is not a young team. Virginia Tech is a very seasoned team who has been together and that all came and has one of the highest returning productions in college football. Like, we forget these things. You know what I mean? We forget these things, like, and it's like, wow, like, okay, so Miami haven't played anybody, right? But everybody was saying that Virginia Tech was supposed to be this, supposed to be that. And that's the same thing that's going on with Colorado. Colorado and Miami has a lot in common, a lot in common, a lot. Because I'll take a look at Colorado's schedule here in a second, but and I'm guilty of it, but a lot of these teams are supposed to be better. A lot of them, man. Louisville, a lot better than what they are. Miami beat them. California, nobody expected California to be where they are right now. They were in the middle of the pack a lot of preseason. Some people had them higher than that. Mendoza being this, being that. Florida State, we know Florida State. They were supposed to be in the college football playoff last year, undefeated. So I don't really talk about that. Duke, kinda surprised, but not that bad. Georgia Tech should be better than what they are. But they proved that they beat Miami, but Georgia Tech's record should absolutely be a lot better. They just haven't been consistent. That's what's going on with Georgia Tech. But other than that, fair Miami schedule to me. I don't want to say it's garbage. Definitely don't want to say it's garbage, right? So let's take a look at SMU. And I'm talking about this, and it's a great subject because to look at these teams and to look at these different schedules and to say that we were wrong. I was wrong. Was I wrong on SMU? I don't think so. Did I think they would be this good? No, but they were definitely on my watch list. The quarterback I thought that would be on the watch list right now is Preston Stone. I was wrong about that. But SMU as a total, no, I didn't think so. But let's just look at them and see who they have played this year, right? And the teams they've played, right? So I think they started the season off playing Nevada. They played Nevada. They almost lost that game. The first game, okay, cool. They got it. They came back. They won that game. Then they played ACU, blew them out. They played BYU. They lost to BYU. SMU lost to BYU, but somehow is ranked above BYU. That's their one and only loss, I believe, this year was from BYU. People forgetting that, right? I don't know if they are or if they're not, but that's who they lost to. Okay. Then we see the TCU, we see the Florida State. I don't know if TCU's doing about what everybody thought they would do this year, right? Florida State was supposed to be a lot better once again. Once again, a lot better. Louisville, a lot better. Absolutely dominated Stanford. They skated past Duke. Duke has been playing good ball. Smashed Pittsburgh. Um, yes, they did. Dominated them that game. They came back, beat Boston College back 10. SMU, man, like, and now people are just saying, "Oh well, SMU's so good. They're gonna they could run the table. They could go to the ACC championship." Da 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 da. What are we talking about? They're just saying they're wrong. Schedules, man. But nobody's really. I mean, I don't know if people is really looking at the strength of schedule and saying what's going on. But let's be honest. Colorado opens up with North Dakota State. North Dakota State is not the same North Dakota State, but it was the first game of the season. They barely beat them. They beat them by 5. They still won that game. They got smacked they got dominated by Nebraska. We all seen that. We all knew that. Dominated the next week with Colorado State. Colorado State is second place right now in the Mountain West. North Dakota State right now is sitting at number 1 in their respective conference. Let's just click on it and let's look at the teams, right? Let's look at the teams. Let's follow the teams and what the teams have been doing. Murray State could not mess with North Dakota State. D1 programs are beating Murray State like this, and they are, okay? All right? They just dominated Montana State, the Grizzlies. They just dominated them last week. Domination. Domination on Northern Iowa. Murray State. They beat South Dakota State, which gave them problems last year. Beat them on the 19th. They're smacked Southern Illinois and beat North Dakota. That's another rivalry game. So South Dakota State beat Illinois State, smacking everybody else. East Tennessee State, they beat them. They smacked Tennessee State 52-3. What is going on? Like, and I'm just saying, like, and I'm hard on Colorado too, y'all. I'm not easy on them, and I'm not sitting here trying to give them a million excuses, but that's a very, very good football team, even though they're not the same North Dakota State of last year or whatever, but that team is still very respected and very good in that division that they're in, right? I'm going to this year. I scrolled up too far. And that's all I'm saying. And I think my point is well taken, but I still want to look at some of these teams and while I'm talking about this and looking at these teams' schedule so that we have a visual of what's going on. They played Baylor. Baylor's about where we thought they would be right now. Actually, Baylor's doing a little bit better than what they thought they would be, even though we knew that, well, at least I knew that Baylor's defense was there. Quarterback. I thought the Quan Finn be playing, but Sawyer Robinson has stepped up, and I think Baylor is balling. I think I said Baylor would be a 7-win program by the end of this year. I think I predicted that. I think I said that Baylor would have 7 wins. I could be corrected on that. I'm fact checked on that, but all you got to do is just go to my preseason games, and I was talking about Baylor and DeQuan Finn. I said yes, I'm going to say it. Baylor will be a 7-win football team this year, and I think they're on course to do that. They got Houston and then they got Kansas to finish off the season. They just beat West Virginia. That was not a cakewalk, and Baylor's been putting up points. They haven't just been they've been putting up points. So shout out to Baylor and what they're doing, man. I don't want, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to take nothing away from them, man. They've been putting in the work. UCF with Gus Malzahn was supposed to be a lot better than what people were saying. A lot of people see them go 6-6 last year. So this year they were supposed to be world beaters. Okay. Supposed to be so tough and physical. Got absolutely dominated. Good win. They lost to Kansas State at the time, was a ranked program. Tough loss. I get that. So you say when they play ranked opponents, they lose. You can make that argument. Yes, you can make that argument. But I also want to say, because you damn sure can make that argument and say that when they go to play a ranked team, they lose. Colorado loses. But when they playing teams who were supposed to be ranked, that's why you would say to me, and when I came up with 5 losses, of course, I didn't expect Colorado State to be as bad as they were. Absolutely did not. And they played them a lot tougher last year, but their star wide receiver was down. No excuse. You're supposed to have more players than just him, and he wasn't ready for them. UCF was supposed to be a lot better and a lot tougher. They got showed up on Kansas State. Colorado could have beat them, but they weren't ready for the DJ Giddens. Arizona was supposed to be a lot tougher than what they are right now for a lot of people. Some people predicted that Colorado would win that game, but some people obviously looked at Arizona and they thought that still having Noah Favita there and T Mac they would still that would have been a closer game, and it just wasn't. Nobody expected Cincinnati to be what they are right now. Colorado did what they were supposed to do in that game. Texas Tech, people thought that Texas Tech was going to be a lot better than what they are right now, and they're not. In Colorado, so the moral is, and Utah was definitely people picked them preseason to win the Big 12. It was Utah, I think Utah, Oklahoma State, and Kansas were people's favorite to win the Big 12. I don't even think a lot of people had Iowa State. Some people was on that, but I don't think a lot of people were there. Nobody had BYU or Colorado. Let's just be honest. But moral to the story is, and I mean, and I guess I'm summing it all up, but I still want to give a visual on what I'm talking here and what I'm talking about here is because it's okay to be wrong. It's okay. It's okay to be wrong when it comes to football. When we're wrong in football and we're looking at things, that's great because it's not, that means that football is great, that these teams are playing hard, that some of these coaches are coaching, right? Because they're getting the players that they need to plug and play and they're competing and their teams are coming out competing. They aren't just blowing out teams or people are just expected to just run the table. They're actually doing what they need to do, doing what they need to do, right? And that's all I'm saying. That so I'm not going to get up here and say that Colorado is playing a weak Big 12. I can't. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that, and I'm not going to say that they're playing a weak Big 12. I'm not. I'm not going to say that at all because I don't think the Big 12 is weak at all. I think actually I think the Big 12 got a lot of respected football teams that I think that can probably play outside of the conference, to be honest. Um, if you really want me to be honest and look at the schedule, and I know that this might be crazy to say, but if you look at so we look at the top 5 teams in the Big 12, we'll stop at Baylor, right? Baylor, Iowa State, Arizona State, Colorado, BYU, and then you look at the Big Ten's bottom half of their teams. Um, yeah. Do you think? Yeah, I think that they may run through the Big 12. I take that back. I take that back. But look, but you look at, you know what I mean? Like it is what it is, though. You know what I'm saying? But the shout out to them, man. They're balling, and college football is balling. Look at some of these overall records. 5-5, 5-5, 5-5. Michigan, Rutgers, Washington. So I think that's like their bottom half. Okay, so 5 down. So this is 5. So you got Iowa, Minnesota, Washington, Rutgers, and Michigan. And then you got what? Kansas State, TCU, Texas Tech, and West Virginia. Yeah, I don't think those teams can match up with none of them teams I just named. But that does not change the fact that I think that these teams are that a lot of these teams were supposed to be a lot better than what they are right now. West Virginia was supposed to be a lot better than what they are right now. Kansas is, UCF is, Oklahoma is, Utah is. And it flipped. It flipped. You know what I mean? They're not even beating up on each other. They're getting demolished. They're getting manhandled. Out here, like that's just what it is. Like so, man, it's just great football, man. And that's all I'm pretty much really want to say is that there's just great football going on out here, man. It's not. It's going to be hard to say that the coach of the year because a lot of these teams were supposed to be better, but I think that it has to go to an undefeated team, or a close to undefeated team. It never really goes to an undefeated coach, right? Um, So correcting myself earlier, it never really goes to an undefeated coach because it's hard to stay undefeated in college football. It just is. But yeah, I don't think anybody's seeing Indiana this year, and what he was able to do with that program, flip flopped like that. That's some historic shit, y'all. We gotta admit that. You know what I mean? We have to admit that. Moving on from college, from that argument, that got me a little excited and talking about talking about the coach of the year, which brought that all up and everything. And I get it, guys. Like, and I understand that we look at these things like we try to look at is the glass half full, is it half empty? You know what I'm saying? And look, the popularity wins in a lot of cases, but sometimes that's just I don't think when it has the last time not been done. I don't think it's been done in a long time. Actually flipped like that. Actually, it was done last year, and I think it was overlooked by a lot of people. David Braun over at Northwestern flipped a 1-11 roster to 7-5 last year. And Northwestern right now, they're not sitting pretty. They're sitting at 4-6 right now. They're actually doing worse, but you can argue that the Big Ten. I'm sorry, the Big Ten got a lot better right now. You probably could say that with the additions of Oregon being a top team right now, Washington being or one of the top 10 top teams, and SC providing a valid competition. So with UCLA, none of the additions to the Big Ten are a bottom team. The bottom team is UCLA at 4-6, but they are not the worst. They are not the worst. None of the additions from the Pac-12 moving over to the Big Ten is the worst teams. And people expected them to be worse because the Big Ten plays a very air quote more physical style of football than what the Pac-12 played. And look, the records say otherwise, y'all. The records says otherwise. The teams who have been added in out of the Pac-12 to the Big Ten have shown up and said we're not going to sit on the bottom. UCLA right now is sitting in front of Nebraska, Michigan State, which are teams that normally are highly respected. Maryland, sitting above Maryland right now. So and they're in the mix with teams like Wisconsin, Michigan, Rutgers, Minnesota, Iowa, and they're in that realm. You know what I'm saying? So except like top of the top of the cream of the crop, which is Oregon. Oregon is up there with the top of the conference, and they've shown that by beating Ohio State earlier this year. So shout out to the Pac-12 moving over to the Big Ten and surviving. That's big because a lot of people said that wouldn't be done too in the mainstream media. A lot of people said that couldn't be done, and football is football, and it's showing that it can be done, and it absolutely has been done, and it's been proven. So shout out to them because they said it couldn't be done, and they got it done. And that's right there, right? So that's where I was looking at while I was talking. But I'll move on to this week's football game. Some of these week's football games, man, because I like talking football of all sorts, and I'll make my game picks on Saturday like I always do. But I do want to talk about some of these football games here. Um, because we'll get some of these during the week. Actually, these some of these games come on tomorrow, Tuesday night. That the MAC football always comes on Tuesday nights. It's good. Like yeah, it's good football, man. Some of these games do be, man. Like I think Northern Illinois and Miami of Ohio. That game right there has big implications. This the last chance for in Northern Illinois to try to scramble back and get to the top of that division by beating Miami of Ohio because they're 5-1 in the MAC, sitting at 6-4. I think that's going to be a very good game. Miami of Ohio has the advantage being at home. Two physical teams in the MAC, man. The MAC just been beating up on each other, and I know a lot of people don't pay attention to the MAC, man, but y'all like there's some good football players that came up out of there, man. A lot of good football players that came out of the MAC. Akron, they're playing Kent. They're about two of the bottom teams. Kent just had a very horrible year this year. Unfortunate that the way that their year ended up. You know what I mean? I don't want to take too much from them, but it's unfortunate. It really is, man, to be sitting at 0-10 right now in the MAC. Um, Western Michigan taking on Central Michigan. The Western Michigan normally they play a little bit better, but they are 4-2 in the MAC. They're 5-5 overall, but they are 4-2 in the MAC division. Playing Central Michigan, they probably should win that game, but that's a MAC rivalry game amongst those guys. You know what I'm saying? The Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan, and that I believe Toledo too, kind of getting up in there, man. A lot of these games is like rivalries, right? Northern Illinois, like I said, Northern Illinois is playing Miami of Ohio. It's going to be that got huge implications for the MAC too, because NIU can bump up just a little bit um, with winning this game. Buffalo should have they were controlling their destiny. They shouldn't have lost. I think they lost to like Central Michigan, but they probably shouldn't have lost in the MAC because I think they beat Toledo earlier this year. Buffalo did. They looking all right. Buffalo is looking all right, sitting at 6-4 and 4-2 in the MAC, playing Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan came out hot this season, and when they got in conference, they started losing also um in conference. But you know they won't roll over for Buffalo, so Buffalo I have to go play them. That happens on Wednesday. The game is going to take place on Wednesday at 7 p.m. on ESPN. It should be a decent one. The one game that I really want to pay attention to is this one here. This is Toledo's chance to try to climb back up in at the top of the MAC division, playing the Ohio Bobcats. It's huge, man. It's huge. They got Toledo has they have to win this game. They have to win out, but they need some help also from that. They need Northern Illinois to beat Miami of Ohio. They lost to Buffalo, so right now Buffalo has a tiebreaker. So but they gotta win out, right? Because they're half a game ahead of Buffalo right now. So if they would, if they were to lose, then Buffalo obviously goes over top of them because they're 4-2 in the MAC, and so it's Buffalo. But Ohio Bobcats, they've been coming out on fire. Um, they do good with developing, and so do Toledo. I think these are arguably the two best MAC teams right now. As far as talent goes, I say you would have to go there. But as far as team wise, I would say any of these five top MAC teams is or fire. Miami of Ohio, Northern Illinois, Ohio Bobcats, Toledo Rockets, and the Buffalo Bulls. I would say that those are the top five right now, and that's in the MAC division, man. And it could be any one of theirs, to be honest, because they're probably all evenly matched, and you don't know really who really come out with that win, who wants it more. But Toledo being at home versus Ohio, I think that they got a slight advantage, but we'll see, man. I bet Toledo to win the match, so I'm hoping that they do beat Ohio, but I think it's gonna be a good one, man. Um, excuse me. Then we got North Carolina State taking on Georgia Tech. I think that North Carolina State, they got about. I thought that they were let down. Really, they are to me. I thought that they would be a lot better in the in the ACC. I honestly did. I like the way that they were playing as a team, and for some reason, it seemed like they got away from that, right? And to be honest, I don't know if nor the way that this transfer portal is, I wouldn't be mad if Kevin Concepcion moved on to greener pastures. I wouldn't be. Now, with that being said, though, there is a lot of young players on that team. Um, so if he's able to retain a lot of that talent, then I think that he'll be okay. If they're able to retain a lot of their talent from North Carolina State, I think that they'll be all right. The Wolfpack will be straight and they'll bounce back. But keeping a player like Kevin Concepcion, man, he is and should have been one of the top receivers in college football. Hands down, man. The kid, the talent is there. He just his quarterback situation was just not 100%. in no way, shape, or form. And now you got him sitting somewhere like I look, I'm looking through the list right now, and I'll pull it up for you guys so you can like follow along and like see what I see and do what I'm doing a little bit. But to even, for Kevin Concepcion, man, to be where he is, man, I gotta look at it. It's just it doesn't make any sense. He's such a great receiver, man. Corey Brooks is at the top right now of the ACC. I told you Syracuse, all three of the receivers is right there, man. Kyle McCord is just doing a fantastic job, man. He really is, man. Justin Jolly is their leading receiver. He don't even got 500. Kevin Concepcion though got 500 yards. Oh God, don't say that. Don't say that. Oh my goodness, he don't even got 500, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness, that's not good. That's not good. That is not good. And he's so good, so fast, man. This kid is. This kid is so fast, man. Unbelievably fast. Athletically gifted out of this world, man. And it's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate. So it looks like it looks like he might be hurt or out right now, y'all, which is crazy. And I didn't obviously I didn't know that, but yeah, to keep a talent like him around, man, is something else. But his quarterback situation, the way it's been over there at North Carolina, he if he gets somewhere where they're able to utilize him, the quarterback with a quarterback, man. He's one of the most dangerous weapons in college football. Let's just say that. You know what I mean? But he don't even have 500 right now, right? So he's way down there on the list in all conferences when it comes to receivers and getting the yards, which is it's really a heartbreaker to me. But Georgia Tech, they've been playing outstanding ball, man. They really have been, man. They've been playing outstanding football. I must say, man, when you look at that team, man, I just don't know how they're sitting there with the record that they have right now. Like it to me, it doesn't make clear sense to me when I look at that team. Like how they're very balanced. Whether you like to believe that or not, they have a receiver that's what over 600 yards. Malik Rutherford. If you just looked at it like I did, he gets over 600 yards. Eric Singleton is over 500 yards. No, they're not getting a touchdown as much, and we know they run the ball a very effective. That's their biggest weapon with Jamal Haynes and Hayes King. And look, they they're a very balanced team. They really are, and they can be. And I just don't see why. I guess you can say the defense is why. But see, the thing is, and the thing that gets me and it is the defense, right? Because there's no top tacklers in a category in at all. When you look at them, their leading tackler only has 58 tackles, which is bad in the ACC, let alone all of college football, right? But when you look at the sack totals also, like them not being able to get to the quarterback is also a problem of Georgia Tech's. And if if North Carolina State had a quarterback, then I guess I would be comfortable with saying that North Carolina State runs away with this football game. But I don't think you could actually say that because they just don't. They just don't have a. I mean, they have a freshman quarterback, and Georgia Tech's offensive line has just been, incredible. So I do think that this is a loss for North Carolina State, but I probably won't be picking this game Saturday anyhow. But I that's probably who I would go with in that one, right? Um, Temple has been surprisingly horrible too, but you really can't sit there and look at that game against UTSA and say UTSA is going to beat Temple, which is crazy. Which is kind of crazy because Temple used to have a kind of a prestigious background, right? Which is crazy. Very good, right? Let's look at Purdue versus Purdue's playing Michigan State. Purdue's only won one game this year, and I'm sure it was with their G5 game or whatever that was. Purdue Hudson Card, I thought was going to be one of the better quarterbacks in college football. Watching him play his very first game and watching him play a lot of different games, I think Hudson Card is a good quarterback. I don't want to say he's great. He's good. He's a good quarterback. And I think that that team, man, it's just they got a lot to work on, man. Purdue just I don't know if it's the talent at I don't want to say it's the talent at Purdue. It could I mean obviously they could use more talent, but you can't blame what's going on at Purdue on the talent. That is coaching at Purdue. Purdue has a coaching problem. And I hate to say that because he's a African American coach and it's his second year and we have not seen any progression. He may be out the door. He may be going out the door this year. To be honest, if I'm being honest, he may be out the door because I do think that number one, I'm going to say it. I do think that Hudson Card could be playing. Could have been played in a lot better um, than what he had. I believe he got hurt. I can't remember if he got hurt or not, but you know what I'm saying that he could be playing a lot better than what they showed. They their run game is non-existent up there. Like also when it comes to running the ball over at Purdue, and it shouldn't be because I think that Mecca B is a good running back. I really do think that he's a good running back, even though he came on late. Reggie Love come on late. I do think they got that. So fairly to be fair with that, I gotta say that I think it's a coaching issue that may be going on, man. To be honest, because they got a hell of a defensive back and Dylan Thiemann. He's one of the top 10 in the Big Ten. I think that so and not only him, but they got a linebacker by Kadrian Jenkins. He's a tackling machine. Also gets after it. He's one of the tops in the Big Ten. Um, and sack leaders, the defensive end and a linebacker, like I said, Jenkins, and then the defensive end and Will Heath. He's one of the best in the Big Ten. Um, look, man, and when I looked at this team, the way that I really thought that they would be playing a lot better, but for them to have one win, yeah, you might be out the door because I don't want to say they don't got the talent. They just don't have the coaching. And that's what it is. I'm sorry to say it, but that's what it is. They don't have the coaching. And Michigan State does, but they doesn't. UNLV taking on San Jose State. We know the problems that went over on with UNLV and San Jose State. It's not a secret. I know y'all don't like me talking. I talk college football. Truckin Chubby talks about all the games. I just don't talk about Colorado. Believe me, folks, if I just talked about Colorado and the Steelers, I would have so much information on these teams that I would sound like an insider when I'm speaking to y'all. Like, it's ridiculous that some people that you may follow that follow one team may not be able to answer all the questions, but you're just doing videos on one team. And maybe that's my problem. Maybe that I do need to slow down and just focus on one more, just two teams, because then I'll be on there every day making videos for you every day. But I like to. It's college football. It's college football. Period. Man. But UNLV, man, they're a good team. They're a good team. I'm not gonna lie. They had a heartbreaker versus a very good Syracuse team. I would say that. Would I say that UNLV is strength of schedule wise? I believe that UNLV and Boise State are like almost identical. I could say San Jose State, they had their chance to beat Boise State. They let them off. They let them off the hook and they couldn't keep up. And do I think they'll be able to do it against UNLV? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Um, they may get lucky. Boise State may they beat UNLV. They did. They beat UNLV fair and square. Um, but I don't think that San Jose State could do it either. But hey, we've seen a lot of crazy things happen. These two teams, I mean, you've seen some decent quarterback play out of the two of those. This matchup, preview this matchup, right? The Indiana and Ohio State game is going to be talked about all week long. Be ready for it. Be ready for it. I mean, all week long, they're going to be talking about this game. People are going to have no idea what they're talking about with this game. Why? Because this is the hardest, probably going to be the hardest game this week to predict. The hardest game. Because you seen what you see what a team like Wisconsin was able to scheme up against Oregon, right? You're going to see that same thing with Kurt Signetti this week against Ohio. They had a week off to plan for this Ohio game. Kurt Signetti and that staff over there at Indiana absolutely know what they're doing. 100% know what they're doing as far as coaching and scheming up to play their teams. Um, I think if they would have had that kind of time against Michigan, that score is different. That play is different. But for them to come out there and play a well-coached team and a well-coached program like Michigan and beat them by 5 and keep them the way that they did, that defense is really tough. And I think that was the perfect warm-up game to see at the barometer where they were going to be at with this Ohio State game. I'm not going to make my pick on this game until Saturday. But looking at what Ohio State is able to do with Will Howard is no slight neither. Will Howard he's not getting a fair shot by a lot of people. He's doing exactly what they wanted, why they brought him up to Ohio State to do. He's doing exactly that. Exactly that. If we want to, excuse me, we want to talk about the most accurate quarterbacks in college football. We do not mention Curtis Rourke at Indiana. We do not mention Will Rogers at Washington. We do not mention Will Howard at Ohio State. Yes, we mentioned Dylan Gabriel. We mentioned Shedeur Sanders and Cameron Ward, but all those quarterbacks are very accurate, or their completion percentages is up there, and they're good quarter. They get the job done. And Will Howard is going to be a great system quarterback. He's not, no, he's a good system quarterback and he has athletic ability. I would like to see what Will Howard's going to run in the 40. I think that may shoot up his draft stock a little bit, but I want to see what he runs on the 40. Curtis Rourke, I know his is going to jump through the roof if he runs pretty good. But with that being said, though, like Curtis Rourke and Will Howard are almost the same statistically. They're statistically really close. So when you look at this game, you got to look at this game and say, okay, well, we know what you're going to get from this Indiana team. This team can score. They can score. They've proven it. They can score, right? Ohio hasn't played Michigan yet, so you can't use that game for barometer, right? You can't. So you go there and you say, okay, so what's the next thing we look at, right? You look at the running backs, right? And you say, who does Ohio State have? Quinshawn Junkins runs. He gets that team going. I know everybody's saying Jeremiah Smith, the young receiver at Ohio State. They're gonna get him the ball. You're not gonna get that over on Indiana. I'm sorry. It's going to be tough for Ohio State to get the ball to Jeremiah Smith. Quinshawn Junkins is that offense's engine. He is the engine for that team. And when Quinshawn Junkins doesn't work, who do they go to? Travion Henderson. Ohio State wants to establish the run just how anybody else does, just as well as Indiana does too. The thing is with Indiana will beat you any way that they can. We've seen that in the Michigan game. They have more tricks to that up their sleeve than a little bit. They got a couple of different running backs too. Justin Ellison, Tyson Lawton, um, And I think I can't remember the other guy's name, but they got Kalen Black. They got a few running backs that they use in different packages, and you don't know they throwing at them. But when you and Ohio State can do the same, some of the same things too. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a very good game. I'm not going to make my pick yet, like I said, but I think this is going to be a very good game when you look at the matchup and the way and the things that the matchup are is providing you. I mean, and then you look at defense wise. So you look at defense. Of course, you're going to say, well, Indiana probably got the better defense because of who they played on their schedule. They really haven't played anybody, but it's not who they played, it's how they played them. Okay. Now let me say that again. It's not who they played, but it's how they played them. Right? How did they play them? Were they dominant in that? Um the interception totals, the tackle totals. Yeah, they got Aiden Fisher, linebacker, straight up monster, getting after it. One of the leading tacklers in one of the leading tacklers in the Big Ten, one of the top linebackers in the Big Ten. Does Ohio State really have one? No, they don't, because their team they spread the tackling out on that team. You know what I'm saying? But their top tackler is Sonny Styles, and he's a safety. I don't know if that's good or not. I don't know if that's good or not. Both of the linebackers at Indiana are actual linebackers. They're good. But then you look at Ohio State's linebacker, Cody Simon. Yeah, he get the job done. He'll tackle. Then you got Sean Asbury. He's good tackler too for our Indiana. So then you say, okay, so who gets after the ball for Indiana? Mikal Kamara, the sack leader in the Big Ten. The sack leader in the Big Ten with 9.5 sacks. Gets after it. Who do Ohio State have? JT Timunola, whatever, however you pronounce his name. That's their guy who gets after their defensive end. The thing is, Kamara is a defensive lineman with that many sacks. See, see, when you got that, when you have such a dominant inside game like that as Indiana, that's the difference with this football game, with this football team. Even the way that they were able to hold Michigan from running the ball. Michigan has a powerful running game. Powerful running game. Let's not get that twisted about Michigan. Say what you want about Michigan and not having a quarterback, but we's not going to sit here and act like Michigan cannot run that ball, because that's the one thing they can do very, very well. Right? And Indiana's James Carpenter, defensive lineman with 4 sacks, and Kamara with 9 sacks. Their defensive linemen get after it. They ball out. Now, you want to go, let's talk about, we can talk about interceptions. Talk about interceptions. We talk about Mari Farrell, defensive back over there at Indiana, got 4 of them things. Then you're expecting for Ohio State to have some. That he's one of the best in the Big Ten. Denzel Burke, he only has 2. You know what I'm saying? You better not pick on D'Angelo Pons. You better not think you're going to go pick on D'Angelo Pons over there. I don't care what you think he got and what he don't got. D'Angelo Pons gets after it. They got everything that Ohio State has. Ohio State has everything they have. But I don't think that people are going to fairly evaluate that game and analyze this game to its full potential. I think a lot of people are just going to say Ohio State because of the history. Some people going to say Indiana because they're hot, but I will say this: I think they're two well coached programs, and I'm not going to make my pick just yet. It goes back and forth. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good game, and it's at Ohio State, so it's going to be a good game, very good game. We'll see what happens with that one. And I'll be making my pick Saturday, like I said. Wake Forest taking on Miami. Wake Forest sitting at 4-6 overall, 2-4 in the ACC. These last 2 games for Miami, they not going to take them lightly. Wake Forest is getting a nasty Miami team right now, and I got a chip on their shoulder, losing to Georgia Tech the way that they did, knowing that they can't come out slow and have to be physical. So to beat Wake Forest, they could beat Wake Forest in the air. I think Clemson struggled with them at first because they were trying to run the ball a little bit and be a physical football game. I don't think you want to get into a physical match with them. But out physicaling them is where you got to go. Miami has to stop the run. They have to get better with stopping the run, but and they got to run the ball a little bit more. Take some of that pressure, like take some of that off of Cam Ward. Because once you could run the ball, if Miami can run the ball and be effective with running the ball with Fletcher and Martinez, and that run game is effective when they go to 12 when they go to I'm sorry, I was about to say 21 personnel, but that's not what they use. 12 personnel. When they go 12 personnel and they got the two tight ends out there and McCormick and Aurora and they're running the ball, that offense will eat you alive. I think that's their most dangerous formation. I think that's their most dangerous personnel set right there. When you got both of those tight ends on the field, and either Brown and Restrepo or whoever else they have, I think that's because when they're able to run the ball, when they run the ball, I think that's their most dangerous set. And using that against Wake Forest, I think it's about time to get that rolling now because if Miami is going to have any chance of hoisting the being national champions of the world and taking this whole thing home, they're going to have to get physical on offense up front and have that big personnel because nobody can defend that yet in college football. There's not a team out there that can defend that. I think there's plenty of teams out there that can defend the pro style offense. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a lot of teams out there that could defend pro style offense, 11 personnel looks. That's what they're built for. But if you're gonna come out there big boy balling on them and with those tight ends that got hands like that, there's no tight ends in college football that I think that's close to them guys right now, besides maybe Maryland with from SMU. I think, but I'm trying to think offhand like that from the guys that's might be in the playoff. Like I don't think so. Maybe I could be biased, but I have to put some thought in that for y'all a little bit more thought. You know what I'm saying, and research that. You can fact check me now, but I do think that Miami has some very good tight ends, and that's what they should go to, man. I think don't sleep on your opponents, but Wake Forest is getting a monster right now. Same thing with Ole Miss playing Florida, man. They're gonna have to play Florida the same way they played Georgia. We good. They're gonna have to go out there and dominate against them. They can't go out there and let them breathe, get any breathing room at all. Um, they're gonna have to go out there. They have to show up for that game and be ready to play ball, man. They cannot afford to let Florida get in this game or give them any belief that they can win this game. Ole Miss got to win out to even sneak in there and have a chance to get into the playoffs at this point. I think they're sitting pretty right now. The committee is wanting to let them be one of the teams for the SEC to get into the college football playoff, if I'm not mistaken. But they got to win out. So Ole Miss every day control their own destiny right now. I'll be making my picks later this week. But Florida, on the other hand, they playing good ball right now, man. They seem to like Legway at quarterback. They just beat LSU. They coming off a high right now, and they're being at home, and they're at home again. It's gonna be a problem with them. We'll see what they can put up with. I'll do more maybe throughout the rest of the week, but make my picks on Saturday. Like I said, once again, SMU taking on Virginia. I think this may be one of those trap games for SMU, man. Virginia was able to beat Pitt. SMU was able to beat Pitt. To be honest with y'all, Pitt being as far, they had a phenomenal defense. Phenomenal defense. They just seem to lack, like they don't have all the offensive weapons, but I think that's largely because of the unsure quarterback play with Pitt. I honestly do. That's my opinion. I think it's the quarterback play up at Pitt that makes it look like they don't have the receivers. They do have the receivers there in Pitt, but I think it's just, quarterback play, man. They might be lacking a little bit there in that department, man. That offense just without their running back, Desmond Reed, it just goes blank. I do think Virginia can. I think Virginia can do more. I think Virginia can take down SMU. Will they? Probably not, but I think that they can give them a good run for their money. I honestly do. And them being at home, that gives them a little bit of an advantage. SMU is just playing phenomenal football right now. couple different quarterbacks, running backs that they can go to. Defense is stepping up the way it is, and they control their own destiny right now. They're in the top of the ACC right now, but remember they have been beat. They have been beat by a good BYU team, nonetheless. But we'll see what Virginia got up their sleeve and what they're able to do. Right? We'll see later on this week. Um, Illinois is taking on Rutgers. That's gonna be a tough game for both of them. I think that's a good big matchup with Illinois and Rutgers, man. Um, those both of those teams, I think they're like, I don't want to say they might be evenly matched, right? Not over the top quarterback play, good running backs, a decent defenses, and Rutgers just they seem to have not they seem to have been picking it back up lately, but they wasn't consistent at a point in time. I thought Rutgers should be an 8-win team right now, to be honest. Illinois is on their way of being that. They're a very, very resilient group, good football team. And I'll be talking more a little bit about that, on Saturday or whatnot. But just to preview this matchup, I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a good game. I hope, you know what I'm saying? I think it will be. Illinois will be taking on Maryland later this Saturday, next Saturday, I should say. On Saturday, they'll be taking them on. I will be taking on Maryland. Maryland's been upset. They've been very upset, upsetting. I don't have no reason why Mike Loskey and Maryland's team is playing the way they're playing. Maybe you could say quarterback play, but how? Because Billy Edwards is like one of, if like he's in the top 10 in the big. Is he in the top? Yeah, Billy Edwards is like number 2 in the Big Ten with passing yards. 9 interceptions he has, same as Miller Moss, in that range. And I guess you say turning the ball over, but is it like, what would you say, the running game? Because it's like wow, Maryland, and I think that's what it is with Maryland, right? They get a little bit of one dimensional, and they haven't used Hemby coming on a little bit late this year and not using him as much, right? They need a more balanced offense. It's like they get one dimensional, put a lot on Billy, and they get like that in games. And I think that you just can't have him do that. They need to be more balanced. And I think Mike Loskey knows that. But playing Iowa, I think that Jay Higgins is just off the chain with that defense. And they got average quarterback play there. And that's really think all you need. But Maryland being at home, I'm sure it'll be a tough game. I'll be making my pick later this week. I told y'all. All right. Syracuse playing with UConn. I think that's another one of them. Oh, what's another one of them decent battles? Um, Believe it or not, UConn is 7-3. They're 7-3. They beat who they put in front of them. Independent, based on their last year's record. Syracuse, that's some of the best receivers in the ACC, bro. Hands down. They got 3 of the top receivers in the ACC. Cal McCord is playing lights out. I don't know if it's going to be close, but we'll see, right? I don't know. I don't know. First guess, I would probably say no, but who knows? We've seen things happen in college football. UConn, I don't really know too much about UConn, so I really can't talk about that game, right? Boston College playing UNC, in the ACC matchup. Boston College, UNC, they seem to got it, came into their own. Omarion Hampton, that defensive line has been playing lights out all season in my eyes. That defense has been on the field way too much. They're another one of them teams that are a little unsure at quarterback, with their quarterback moving to the NFL. Boston College just sat down Thomas Costello, got rid of him, said, all right, went out there, played this week. I think, I don't know. I guess it's the right thing to do mid-season because their record's not what it wanted to be, but we'll see what Boston College is able to do, man. Without him, I think that I don't know if they really missed a beat. I don't want to say they really missed a beat, but I think that the offense missed them. I think that probably would have run last week if he was in there. That's just my opinion, though. But I think that should be it really don't have too much implications. Both teams will not be. They'll be going bowling. They're playing for bowl game contention right now. They're not playing. They're going to the college football playoffs. So it is what it is with those teams. Can't wait to see Armore and Hampton in the pros though. I'll tell you that. That's a good one. Sam Houston, Conference USA game with Jacksonville State. It's Conference USA um championship on the line. Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. They gotta win. They both of these teams have to win this game. It should be a good game on Saturday because Conference USA championship line on the line to see who's going to play for that title in the Conference USA. So I'll definitely be watching that one because I think it'll be a good one. Two of the top teams, you know what I'm saying? They're not no bump. Sam Houston State's not bump. Neither Jacksonville State. Jack State, all right? So that is what it is. There. Georgia playing UMass. We know what that's about. I ain't really got to talk about that one, right? It's a gimme game for Georgia, right? Is it? Or is it? You know what I mean? Good game for UMass, though. They get to go down to Athens, Georgia for the weekend. Travel. UTEP playing Tennessee. We know what that is, right? They get to go to Tennessee. Beautiful city. You know what I'm saying? Beautiful two nice college towns to go visit for UTEP and UMass, right? Get up out of the Conference USA and the Independence, right? All right, right. Liberty playing Western Kentucky. Liberty, they had to win last week, I thought. And they definitely got to win now. I don't even know if they got a chance to be in the so they would need Jacksonville. They need Jacksonville State to win against Sam Houston. So Sam Houston goes to 5-2, 7-2 over. I mean, 5-2 in the Conference USA, but they'll drop to 8-3. And Liberty needs to win this game, and so do Western Kentucky. So both of those Conference US games got a lot to ride on the line, and I think that's why they got them at the 1 o'clock slot. So people, y'all should be watching them games because it got a lot to do with the Conference USA. It's getting closer. I know I had picked Liberty. I know I might be wrong on that right now. But that's what I definitely need to happen anyway. But we'll see what happens there, right? Which it might be a dub for maybe a dub for Florida State, man. Florida State might get the dub. They might get a win. They might get another win this week. I don't know. I mean, you don't know what that thing, but they might. Or Charleston might shock them. You never know. You just never know. Bowling Green playing Ball State in the MAC. Ball State just trying to play spoiler right now. Bowling Green is 5-1 in the MAC, so believe it or not, they still can go to the MAC championship at if they beat Ball State and go approve the 7-4. They approve the 6-1 in the MAC. They are one of the top 10, one of the top MAC teams right now. So I think that'll be a good battle to watch too. Bowling Green should win that game, but Ball State, yeah, they playing spoiler right now, so they ain't going bowling, and this is their bowl game, so they're gonna play hard. Rice playing UAB. UAB been playing off and on. Rice shocked somebody. I knew they was gonna shock Navy, Air Force or Navy. I think whoever they played, knew they was gonna shock them, but I think they decent. We'll see what happens in the American Athletic Conference game. Just a shout out for them. New Mexico State playing Middle Tennessee State in the Conference USA game. Really no implications on that one. They'll probably be playing. I don't know, seeing what they got going into next year. Appalachian State has been a huge letdown. And so have James Madison. James Madison probably should have been playing for the title, especially after scoring 77 points on a Power 5 team. Like, even though it was North Carolina, but you know what I'm saying? Like, that just goes to show you that even the Sun Belt got teams that maybe can hang with some of these Power 5 teams, right? Because you see James Madison lose to two Sun Belt teams and put 77 points up on North Carolina. It's crazy to say that. So college football is really everywhere, right? And I don't even know if you could really honestly sit there and say that Conference USA, Sun Belt, and all these other, G5 programs, they need their own playoff bracket. They definitely deserve their own playoff bracket. And if not, then they need more slots. I don't know, because it just seems like some of these teams could beat them. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking crazy, but um, Appalachian State, they want to go bowling, and James Madison want to win the Sun Belt. So I think that'll be a decent matchup to be watching out for. Arizona playing for pride at this point, I guess. They can't end the season with a with one of the top receivers taken in this year's draft. I'm sure that T Mac will be, and Noah Favita and TCU playing the way they playing right now with Josh Hoover. Man, they playing lights out. Josh Beck, they got Beck, Jack Beck, um, Josh Hoover. They got a couple receivers. Savion Williams. They got a nice little team over there at TCU. That defense just has not been consistent at all with TCU, man. But I think um I'll be probably making a pick on that later this week, but I think that should be this another one. Kennesaw State taking on FIU Conference USA game. They just moved up there. Not really too much to say about that one. Arkansas State taking on Louisiana Monroe. Not really too much to say about that one. I don't think that got any implications for the Sun Belt. I think it may for Arkansas State, little something. Louisiana Monroe probably could be playing spoiler. Southern Alabama playing Southern Miss. Really nothing to say that no implications there. An American Athletic Conference game versus Charlotte and FAU. No implications for that, none whatsoever. I don't know. Nobody's really playing spoiler in that game. It's Pride, I guess. So really nothing there to talk about. Kentucky playing Tennessee, Texas. Kentucky playing Texas. It's not going to be a gimme game for Texas. It's not going to be. It's just not going to be. Kentucky playing spoiler right now. Their bowl season starts now. Their bowl season is now. What could they do? They got a chance to prove that they're a lot better. The play Texas as hard as they can. To play spoiler against for Texas. And Texas is gonna have to come out and play against a tough Kentucky defense. See how that works out. Penn State don't got a rollover game neither. With Minnesota. Minnesota, they are going bowling. But what kind of bowl game will they get? They're playing Penn State. Penn State ranked number 4. Minnesota got a chance to get at a playoff team right now. That will be a huge game. That would be a huge game. Period, point blank. That 3:30. That's a big game. I think that Minnesota always plays Penn State well. That'd be a good one to watch. I'll probably make it a pick on that later this week. Both teams, I think, with Drew Aller there, and he got some things to prove. Abdul Carter on that defense. Running backs William, Tyler Warren at a tight end for Penn State. They got some things to prove, man. They got to prove that they are truly a better team than what they are. But Minnesota always plays them tough. I'll be getting in more detail and talking about that game later this week on Saturday. So make sure y'all tuning in. BYU will be taking on Arizona State at home. Arizona State will be at home taking on BYU, number 6 BYU. BYU just took an L to Kansas. Arizona State is one of them top teams right now. Them and Colorado both control their own destiny. Um, man, that's going to be a good game. Arizona State ain't nothing to mess with. They ain't nothing to play with. Arizona State ain't nothing to play with. Nothing at all. Or nothing to play with at all. And BYU kind of got exposed like last game versus Kansas. Kansas is a very good football team. That's going to be a good game to watch at 3:30. You'll be flicking back and forth between that and Colorado and Kansas. Colorado at Kansas. I mean, it's on a neutral site, but Kansas probably be more of the home team in this one at Arrowhead Stadium. Packed. It's going to be a packed house. Crazy atmosphere for Colorado. Shador Sanders, Travis Hunter, those guys getting busy. That defense has improved. That defensive line has improved. That offensive line has improved. Cash Cleveland know his calls, how to get to the next level, who to watch out for to get to the next level. Call him, make him a calls out. Those cornerbacks probably could do a decent little job, but it's the cornerbacks at Kansas are not going to let Shador probably throw all over the yard. The defensive line at Kansas is going to be there to try to put some pressure on him. I'll probably get into depth on this game. It's going to be a tough, man. This is not going to be no cakewalk for Colorado, man. This is not going to be a cakewalk for Colorado. No way, no how, no shape, no form, no way. This is just going to be a game for Colorado to just go ahead and just walk away with the dub. It's not happening. Not happening at all. Got to be crazy to think that that's going to happen for Colorado. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen for them. Just don't think so. Um, they're gonna have to ball. Gonna have to ball out, man. Um, I had to shut the door. Got a little distracted right there. My dog doing his own thing. Little Drax, my little bully. Shout out to him. But man, the offensive line has been a little bit unsure. And I think both sides is gonna have to watch out for that. Daniels obviously likes to run and can run, and they got receivers. And it's gonna be a good game. Two good Big 12 games back to back at the same time at 3:30, man. Oh man, it's gonna be a good game. I'll probably be talking more in depth on this game for sure later this week. I'll probably even have to do a live for that one. Colorado and Kansas, and really get into depth and break those, get into more depth and break that down while I'm going through it. Um Nice little visit to Clemson for the Citros, whatever. I mean, that's crazy, right? That's crazy. Nice little visit for them in the middle of the year. You dig? At the end of the year, I think that's pretty dope. Look, Northwestern playing Michigan, man. Shoot, man, you almost want to say they two evenly matched teams, but I don't even think you can say that at this point, man. You can't really say that. And the reason it being is because Michigan's defense is very dominant. Now Northwestern got a little quarterback, but we'll see what they do. And I think that this is going to hush up a lot of what Michigan can do and what they can do, because they can't hang with the elites because they don't have a quarterback. But the lower tier teams can't mess with Michigan because they just don't they can't get through that defense. You got to be an elite team to beat Michigan. You can't just be a regular Joe Schmo beating Michigan. I don't think so, man. To be honest, you got to be in that you got to be in that above average good range. You know what I'm saying? Not great, not elite, but you got to be at least that. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna just be no average ass team just beating up on Michigan. That ain't gonna happen. But we'll see what happens with that game. David Braun always brings the Wildcats to play. They will be playing in the big house, different atmosphere for Northwestern. I'm sure they used to it. Get there every couple of years, but man, the big house get the rock, and they can't take too many L's in the big house. Tell you that they can't do that. But we'll be talking about that game too. But see what's going on with that. Alec Gordon, David Warren. They can't have David Warren passing like that. Got to get Mullins going early, I think so. Early and often. Stick to your strengths. Donovan Edwards, get him moving around on the slide. Get him moving a lot more, man. They got to. Wisconsin taking on Nebraska. Big game. Big game for the Big Ten. Big game. Um, Nebraska could possibly be on the verge of ending another season, yo, at the same record. It is not easy to win in college football, and the teams that they're playing, the division, their conference, the league that Nebraska is in, the Big Ten is not. It's strong. It's a very strong league. The Big Ten is, man. Big and physical football teams, man, and it's just unfortunate for Nebraska. I hope that Nebraska's able to bounce back, but the way that Wisconsin was able to play against Oregon, man, they've shown a lot better. I mean, I guess getting rid of TVD might be the best thing for Wisconsin, because honestly, they look like a good balanced team, and that defense comes to play. Um, and I just can't wait to see what Dylan Raiola is going to be able to do against that Wisconsin defense, man. I want to see what he's going to be able to go up against, Banks and Barnes and those guys over there, Dewey. I want to see what they do against that team. Stanford taking on Cal. I think that's a good little rivalry game right there. We'll be able to see what they're going to do. Stanford getting a dub over Louisville. College football is up and down. California's on a losing streak right now. I think that'll be a good game. Really no implications for this game. Be playing for pride at that point, I guess. Texas Tech got to keep their season going and keeping they are going bowling. But let's see what kind of bowl game do they get. Where do they match up at? Because Oklahoma State really, they have no conference wins. They're playing for Pratt at this point, Texas Tech, and then finish off for Colorado. I want to see if they finish off strong. I want to see if they still got heart and see if they still playing for Mike Gundy or did that team give up. Honestly, I honestly want to see if that team just gave up or if they still playing. I think I can respect that if they're playing it because they still got two teams left. This is their bowl games, Texas Tech and Colorado. That's who they finish up their season with. So I want to see them fight. I definitely want to see them fight and play hard in that game. But Texas Tech got more to lose for sure. UCF playing West Virginia. I guess they got to go bowling. Who's going bowling? Who's not? Right? UCF to go bowling. They have to win this game. West Virginia, they have to win this game to be bowl eligible. Although they do have another game to try to be bowl eligible, UCF has to win out to be bowl eligible. So that'll be a good rumble for them. Believe it or not, not so much to look at, but that's what it is. Mountain West Conference game versus Utah State and San Diego State. Uh, that should be a good one to watch. They both have the same record, 3-7, 2-3 in the Mountain West Conference, man. Utah and Utah State, I think they defense might be a little bit more consistent right now than Sean Lewis's off defense, but we'll see what happens in that one. Really that's really hard to say right there. It really is because you don't know what you're gonna get from both of them teams. Neither one of them had consistency this year, but it is his first year over there at San Diego State, and I believe Utah's first time too. Georgia Southern playing Coastal Carolina. Georgia Southern got to win this game to try to be playing for the Sun Belt Championship. Coastal Carolina got to go ahead and try to get bowl eligible with this game, although they do got another one to try again. But Coastal kind of a letdown as far as being in the Sun Belt, but Georgia Southern stepped up and they trying to win the Sun Belt, so they got to win this game. I think that's a big one right there because they do got a chance to be in the Sun Belt Championship. East Carolina took some L's this year; they're let down in the American Athletic Conference. I don't think I expected them to be that good. North Texas definitely is one of those two. Took some tough losses. I think they had one of the hardest schedules too, and in the American Athletic Conference. I think that's a good matchup versus both of those teams, air raid type offenses. North Texas like to pass a lot with Chandler Morris, and East Carolina, as we know, is an air raid team. So that's a game you might want to watch. Might score might go up on that one. UCF playing Tulsa. Tulsa been playing good football these last couple of games. Look like that team has been progressing. Same thing with USF. They finally got some things clicking later on in the year. They finished off with this last year, so we'll see what they do this year. The American Athletic Conference did get a lot better. They brought in a lot of transfers out, so a lot of these teams did get better than what people were expecting them to be. So USF they got a window to go be bowl eligible. Tulsa at this point just playing spoiler. Pitt and Louisville, man. Pitt Plant going to Louisville right now. 7-3. I already said, man. Pitt's season already was when they won 7 games at sitting at 7-0. Man, it was already a huge success to what they did last year. What Pat Narduzzi did, being a 3-win team, moving to a 7-win team right now. If they're able to go and that defense is there, so that quarterback play is inconsistent, but that they is so easy to play Pitt if you can score on that defense, and you'll probably be likely to do so because they'll probably be on the field with you the whole time. If your offense is more conditioned than their defense, you probably win that game, right? And I think that Louisville has an offense that is very high powered. But Pitt's defense is really good, and if Louisville goes ahead and they stop Desmond Reed, and I think Pitt's in trouble. The offense is in trouble because they don't utilize the receivers as much. Desmond Reed is the engine that gets that offense going, man. And I know that's what a lot of offenses, and it's easy to say that way, but you could use him as a receiver too. And that quarterback plays just not, it's just inconsistent at Pittsburgh, man. And I think people are starting to see that now more and more, man. Um, but it should be a good one though. Should be a good one. South Carolina, Wolf, the dogs, they get to go ahead. South Carolina take a nice visit. South Carolina, could be some crazy things happening in the SEC. I doubt it, but could be. They could go bowling. Same thing with Arkansas. Another conference USA game. I don't know if that's something to sleep on LA Tech. They'll be going out to play them hard. Mississippi State playing at home versus Missouri. That's a rivalry game. I think that definitely should be a good one there. Something to watch because Could be taking them out. Troy playing Louisiana, raising Cajuns. Cajuns got to go ahead. They got to win out to go to the Sun Belt Championship. Troy could play spoiler right now. Army and Notre Dame. That game is going to like Army and Notre Dame, Indiana, and Ohio State. Which one is more important? Which one is better? They both good games because both of the top 10 teams in this situation both are set. Well, they all top 10. There's three of them that's top 10, right? But Ohio State, both of the home teams are one loss teams, and the undefeated teams are the traveling teams. But do Army have a defense that could travel good? Or will Army put up a game in Notre Dame? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think that they will, but I'll be making my pick later on this week and see what's going on. And I'll get into detail and explaining why I don't think that Army will stand a chance against Notre Dame. And and why I think Notre Dame will step up and put a shellacking on Army, shake up the college football world, because I honestly think that Army should be, at this point, Army should be the G5 program over Boise. That should be ranked high at 13 because they don't have a loss at all. And this won't be an American Athletic Conference loss on neither. That's another argument because then if Army drops to Notre Dame, they would only drop one game, right? They'll be at 9-1, but they'll still be 7-0 in the American Athletic Conference, G5 conference. Same thing with Boise. Boise has to play Wyoming. They'll be 7-0, 9 and 10-1, 10-1 overall, but 7-0 in the Mount West Conference. At that point, you would have to say which one is better, the Mountain West Conference or the American Athletic Conference. And I would have to make the argument that I would say that the American Athletic Conference is better. But we've been talking about that a lot though lately, honestly, I don't know what to say. But I think Boise should got they got their control their own destiny. They should be walking in right now. Washington. Washington State right now controlling their own destiny. They just gotta win out and just hope that some chips fall the way that they fall, and things go the way that they go, right? For them, playing Oregon State, I think it should be a good. I think it's normally a good game. I think there. Well, but we'll see how that turns out. Baylor playing Houston. Talked about that a little bit. Baylor, man. I said that Baylor would be a 7-win team. Playing Houston, it's their chance to get their seventh win. Their last game of the season, I think, is going to be a lot harder, and we'll see what they do right now. I'm putting that up, see if they can do what they do. Georgia State. Can't believe Georgia State's at 2-8, 0-6 in the Sun Belt. That's such a disappointment. Oh, it is. Texas State 6-4, 4-2 in the Sun Belt. Need this win. Georgia State is trying to play spoiler, but it is what it is. All right. Alabama playing Oklahoma at home against Oklahoma. It's not going to be a walkthrough for Alabama. Alabama knows that. Kellen DeBoer has that team ready to play, and I'm sure that they're going to show up and they're going to try to show out on them. But I'm gonna talk more in the detail about that and then make my pick officially. Um, Texas A&M at Auburn. Auburn right now trying to become bowl eligible, possibly play spoiler to Texas A&M's plans. Texas A&M is a very good football team. We'll see what they do. We'll see what Auburn doing. It seems like they got a little things clicking late. Be talking game more about this game in detail, making my pick also on that Saturday. Also, Iowa State, same thing. Difference with this team. Iowa State, I did take them to win the Big 12. Utah's a little bit banged up right now. Not to take anything well from that defense is still there. Iowa State, full complete team. Rocco Beck, good system quarterback. We'll see what they're able to do, and I'll make my pick on that later this week. Another Sun Belt matchup with Marshall. Marshall got to win out. Old Dominion has been playing really tough ball. There's some close games. I thought some games that they should have won. They did win some games earlier this year, and they did look good doing it. Marshall is 7-3, 5-1 in the Sun Belt. They got to win out though to play for that championship. So we'll see what Old Dominion does in that Sun Belt matchup. Vanderbilt and LSU. LSU still sitting at number 22, 6-4, 3-3 overall, same record as Vanderbilt. And if you ask me, Vanderbilt should be number 22. They beat Alabama at something that LSU couldn't do. Something that LSU couldn't do. There's a tiebreaker right there. That's crazy to me. And I think that's a brand thing, right? I don't know, but maybe y'all can answer that question for me out there. Is that a brand thing? Vanderbilt being unranked, beating Alabama, having the same exact record as LSU and them getting smashed by Alabama. They're 6-4 and 3-3 in the SEC. Where they do that at? I don't know. All right. Moving on to that one, but I'll definitely be talking about this game and when I make my pick on Saturday. So make sure y'all tune in on that one because I'm gonna talk more in depth about that. Cincinnati be taking on Kansas State at home. Kansas State taking an L, needing to win out to try to keep what little of a playoff hope that they have left there. Avery, Dylan Edwards, DJ Giddens, and all them guys. I'm sure they'll be bouncing back next season. Talking about coming back and trying to run the table. Cincinnati dropping to 5-5, 3-4 in the Big 10, Big 12. I'm sorry. Tough out for them right now, man. I think that they're starting to perform what everybody thought they would be right now. 5-5 at this point in the season. 12, 11, 12 good. Week 11 being at 5-5. I thought that people, that suspected out of them. Virginia Tech, no way, no how. Playing Duke at home. That should be a brawl. Duke 7-3. Virginia Tech trying to get bowl eligible again this year. So we'll see what happens in that one. It's going to be an 8 o'clock game on the AC Network. USC playing UCLA. Good rivalry match right here. One of the late games and windows on NBC. I think UCLA has been playing good football. SC coming back, crawling back. Both teams in California wanting to go bowl eligible. Only difference is the difference is whoever. Well, if UCLA loses this game, they will not be able to be bowl eligible. And SC, if they lose this game, they got one more to go be bowl eligible. But at UCLA has to win this game, and SC don't want to lose this game, and it's a rivalry game. So take the record away. Should be a good game to watch, y'all. Air Force and Nevada. Really not really if they want to, really no implications there. So I'm sure a lot of people probably won't be watching that one. Some crazy might happen. But the game to watch will be at 10:30, and I'm telling y'all this should be a good game to watch right here. Colorado State taking on Fresno. Yeah, I said it. It should be a good game to watch. Why? Fresno 5-5, 3-3 in the Mountain West Conference. And Colorado State is 5-0 in the Mountain West Conference, 7-3, right behind Boise State, taking on Fresno, a team that is good and not possibly can win that game. And they got to go to Fresno to play them. So, hey, man, for them, they already bowl eligible, Colorado State, but they possibly could be in the Mountain West Championship game. And I still think, but I do believe even if they lose this game, they still would be in the Mountain West Championship game, if I'm not mistaken, because they would no UNLV would have to win. So Fresno needs Colorado State to beat Colorado State. UNLV needs Fresno State to beat Colorado State because then they would drop them one game, and then UNLV would have to win, obviously, also to bring them up to 5-1, and they'll be playing, and then they'll see Boise State again, and then we may have that same matchup again, UNLV and Boise State in the Mountain West Conference Championship game, and the chance to go to the college football playoff. Man, oh, that's a way to end it right there. Yes, it is. We can have that matchup again, folks. Once again, I got to say that to y'all again. We can have the Boise State UNLV matchup with the chance to go to the college football playoff and win the Mountain West Conference. Awesome, man. Peace. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure to hit that like button on the way up out of here, man. Thanks for tuning in.